all over the Sahel, in East Africa and elsewhere, and it will become a growing national security problem, economic problem. We've got to deal with these things, and there's no simple, quick fix.
The question, though, is that you make a series of proposals through the books. For example, tax credits, and even one small tax credit debate, in Washington can stop the entire freight train. And at a time when we can't even, on a sadly fundamental basis, tie our political shoes, how do you manage to drive a truly strategic process forward? It's hyperpartisanship. You toy at one point of saying that you need sort of an extra government, you need some external panel even, which has become, I guess, some way that we try to solve all of our problems, whether you try to bracket or something. How do you manage, and oh, by the way, in the middle of this, you also have 50% of the American people don't even believe that climate change is a real thing, right? Even though water levels are rising, or declining, or how do you drive this? How are you going to drive this? Because any one of these things is contentious enough to not work at all.
Right. No, I know. And Francis Fukuyama's got a new book out, and he talks about our failure, and Philip Howard talks about excessive bureaucratization and so forth. I mean, these are really difficult problems, and I can't prescribe a solution for each one of them. But what I can say is that you can't solve them easily unless you can give the economy a growth spurt. Unless there are more resources to divvy up, you can't get at these problems effectively. Americans love to argue about the national debt. It's one of the most consistent themes in American politics going back generations. It wrecked us during the Depression, when even Roosevelt came to office in 1933 thinking that he had to solve the problem of the Depression without deficit spending. He gave up on it, and finally Keynes put it in perspective for us, and we learned about aggregate demand and fiscal policy. But Friedman reversed it, and we're back to the monetarist theory, and so this is a lot. So if you want to do it, you're not going to get everybody to take a course in Macro 101 and go back to Keynes. What you have to do is you have to stimulate the economy. You can't do it with government spending, but you could do it with private investment, because there's $7 trillion out there. And people are pretty hungry. And the place to do it is in hydrocarbons. This country has so much oil and gas, we can become completely energy independent in 5 to 7 years. You've got to invest in some things. You can't just